few good men. You can't handle the truth. Well, you can, and Event Horizons will give you those truths. So when you're mad as hell and not going to take it anymore, like that memorable scene in Network, you'll know just what to do. We will draw you in and become your news addiction at Event Horizons. We are changing the paradigm to give you what you did not know you so desperately need. And let me tell you, it is a wonderful feeling to be here at Revolution Radio on freedomslips.com and know the level of commitment across the board by the people that make up the teams here, because they are volunteers. And we rely on your support. And your support can come in many different ways. You may subscribe to the podcast for $4.95 a month, or if you don't have the money, you can listen free, because we want to make sure you have access to that necessary information to be able to make informed decisions. There are many special incentives available. $100 donors are able to get 35,000 heirloom seeds. Oh gosh, imagine what you can do with that for yourself, for your community. You can start neighborhood gardens. Everybody can help out, and you will have good quality food and be self-sustaining. Critically important. So all of this will flow much more smoothly with your participation. And remember the power of $1. We have a big audience. If everyone were to contribute just $1, if half, if a quarter of the people, if 10% of the people, just $1, and it adds up and makes a difference. And things, you guys aren't aware of what goes on behind the scenes. There's an awful lot, but your help is greatly appreciated, and a big thank you to all of those who have donated, because it means so much to keep my show and so many others on the air. Now, for those of you who have not heard me before, I'm Dr. Robin Falkov. I am an Oriental medical doctor, homeopathic physician. I have additional training in Western medicine, and my website is healthfreedomrights.com. And as I stated, my focus and the focus for Event Horizons and for our network is to make sure that we are providing you with the necessary information so that you can make informed choices. That is what is critically important, because how can anybody decide and feel comfortable about the decisions that they arrive at unless they've been able to see differing perspectives and review information and then know that they've done their due diligence? So talking about due diligence, we are joined by team member Melanie Vritschan in Brussels, and in light of the crazy events that are happening with all of these different shootings and the very, I'm astonished that the mainstream media has actually covered the problems and the mental issues and the voices that the shooter, Aaron Alexis, in the D.C. Navy Yard was hearing. He had to change hotel rooms 3 times to try to escape this nightmare going on in his head. So enough of this. Welcome, Melanie. Pleasure to have you with us.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad to be on our show again.
Yes. That's you're such an important member of the team, and your research is ever so timely with what we're looking at here. And now we have another shooting in a park in Chicago. There's not that much information that's come in about it, but they are, I am trying to watch some headlines and pay attention.
Is that today?
Just today, another tragic shooting. I'll give you just the beginning. 13 people were shot on a basketball court in Chicago, and there is a 3-year-old little boy who was shot as well.
13. So wasn't that the same number than the Alexis shooting?
You're good, Melanie. Yep. You're good.
Oh
You
my
don't miss a
gosh.
thing. Well,
Yeah, that is, I mean, I don't know about the Chicago one. You will send me information. There it is. I'll have a look. But for the Alexis shooting, that was most definitely a mind control operation. And unfortunately, we are seeing this, at an alarming rate. I came a little bit later. Maybe I didn't hear everything you said, Robin, but you did indeed. Hello?
okay. We're back.
Hello.
I'm
Yes,
back.
we're back.
Okay. Well, just keep talking. If I get knocked off, I have no idea what happened, and I have to turn off my cell phone because that's what grabs the call first, and then it makes a delay for me to switch over to my laptop. So, Melanie, with everything.
Jerry says Skype trouble. I would say covered harassment. We have that a lot with the subjects we're covering.
Yes, well, we know that can always be an issue, don't we? I'd like you to give out your websites and contact information, please, and then we really want to hear your take on what is going on.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm with two organizations. The first one is called the European Coalition Against Covert Harassment. And as an organization, we are committed to raising awareness to the legal system as well as to the medical and scientific community to the crime of illegal biomedical and weaponry research committed on citizens in the European Union and beyond. This is a global phenomenon. And our ultimate organizational goal is to influence the EU legislation and the decision-making process in calling for a worldwide ban on weapons that might enable any form of manipulation on human beings. And with ICAACT, the International Center Against Abuse of Covert Technologies, ICAACT.org, we also raise awareness, of course, for this kind of covered crimes, but we're specialized more in the evidence, providing victims with evidence via radio frequency scans that we offer free of charge.
Well, you do a lot, and I know you make so much available for free to people who are just in that state of limbo where nobody believes what is going on with them, and you provide that verification with the testing that you do. So what is your take, watching how this story has unfolded with the shooter here in D.C. in the Navy Yard, claiming that he knows he's a victim of some kind of electronic attack?
Yes, I know that he voiced complaints in various hotels to the police, and that he was attacked by microwaves, and he had voices, and what I found very telling is that he worked apparently in some high-tech exotic weapons research, and he apparently carved. I heard that law enforcement officials close to the investigation have reported to the press that the stock of Alexis shotguns had been carved with "better off this way" and "my ELF weapon." Well,
Yeah.
for those of us or that are listening to us that are not that familiar with ELF is a reference to extremely low frequency. And it's a term applied to microwave technology. So, and the fact that he reported several times that he was targeted by microwave radiations, which were actually developed over 50 years ago. So it's not during the Cold War. So it's not a new technology, and had apparently, various red flags issues that he was probably not the most in the most stable, psychological condition, and was, I think, dishonorably discharged from his job, and then he took another. I don't know the story exactly, but what I know is that he should not have had a clearance like this. And what I also heard is that the SWAT team apparently arrived very fast, and it was in 5 minutes, and they were told to stand down, and so he killed many more people. And I think, as we just said at the beginning of the show, I think of the final death toll is now 13 people, which is really rather shocking. So I think he displayed all the symptoms of actually a mind control victim, a victim of remote influencing technologies. That was, hit was directed energy weapons, microwave weapons, and the fact that he wrote better off this way, well, I could maybe suspect that they were setting him up for a mission to do something, and he took it back to them. He knew who his perpetrators were, so to speak. But that is just, it's my guess. This is how I read the situation.
Sure. It's absolutely tragic. How do those ELF weapons work? Are you familiar with that?
Well, I know that it's a particularly low frequency, and I don't know. I mean, I'm not a technician, but what I know is that via the in using a special very low frequency, you can actually make a person hear voices, but it is very, very subtle. So it's possible to give audible commands via this very low frequency weapons, the ELF weapons, just the technology that he carved in his, or supposedly that we suspect that this is what he carved on his his shotgun.
Yes,
so,
and so we're looking at, from his own claims, this constant bombardment. It seems to me, and I'm curious as to your thoughts, that there are certain military people that have problems. I mean, the majority of them have PTSD, and they're so severely stressed when they come back. But it seems to me that these patterns keep repeating, and that they're profiling who they can easily target to manipulate. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Yes, well, I think that I heard that this particular individual, Alexis, he suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder. And what I know is that there exist published reports of microwave weapons to affect humans in an array of specific ways, and they really are there from creating fever and other ailments to really psychologically break down an individual. And to the microwave auditory effect that we were just talking about, hearing voices, and even the possibility of subconscious suggestion. So, it falls completely into this, this scenario here. For me, there's little doubt in my mind that he really was, a mind-controlled patsy, unfortunately.
Gosh.
And that he decided to basically take it back to those who he thought were harassing him, were torturing him, and with the outcome we know.
Yeah, and yes, quite unfortunately, it's just a tragic situation. And so far, I'm watching the reports that come in, and they have stated that he was at the emergency room to get medication. And they recommended he see a primary care physician, which he did not follow up and do, and he went back to refill his prescription, and yet no one is stating exactly what the prescription was. And we know with all of these mass shootings that we have seen, the majority, and I'm sure at some point, if it was not a current thing, but I would really go out on a limb and say that the majority of all of these people have been on antidepressives, the SSRI drugs, which cause such a disconnect with a person and society and their emotions that they are suicidal and these killing sprees happen. How prevalent are those drugs in Belgium, in the country where you are, Melanie?
Well, I mean, in Belgium, there's certainly when people come to their physician and they complain about this kind of symptoms, which are typically linked to electronic terrorism, to microwave radiation and remote influencing technologies, I mean, used on you. And these include symptoms that Alexis reported, like hearing voices and being hit with directed energy weapons. It is very common that they very quickly give you like some diagnosis for some psychological disorder, and also prescribe very quickly drugs, antipsychotic drugs. And what struck me, I didn't follow it. Once I was at a doctor, and that was fortunately for me. I had sufficient proof that didn't happen too much. But at the beginning of my research, I was in fact in front of a doctor who prescribed, I think it's called Trazodone or so, and I heard that there was a drug that, as you just said, that made people commit suicide very quickly, or and I think I heard that this was the same drug, because apparently he was on various drugs that Alexis was on. So that made me think, you know. Fortunately, I never took it, you know. They just told me, oh, well, it's going to help you sleep, you know, and well, I never took it, and I never went back, and I just went further with my research, and then I was able to prove via really scientific data and prove that I was a victim of this crime, and not at all a victim of, well, let's say not suffering from a delusional disorder, as they usually try to make you think, or make you, so, but it's very quick to prescribe antipsychotic drugs, and for everything, you know. I mean, as soon as you say that, well, things that, you know, maybe are normal, actually. Well, for example, if you have really a grief, you know, for example, my mother died 13 years ago. Well, it's quite normal to, you know, to grieve, and I think it's also important that you live this grief. And well, you know, next time you have and you talk about it when you with your physician, and you just talk, say, well, you know, how are you? Well, I'm not that well. You know, my mother deceased. Well, I'm sorry. Well, do you need anything to help you? You know, I think that's really, like, I never took that, because I think
you're a strong lady.
I was just like, let's say, it's natural to grieve when you lose a loved one. So you know, then immediately for everything you get a pill, and I mean, that's definitely you know. Very, very strongly developed here in Belgium. Immediately get something prescribed.
And it is really tragic that they give these medications to young adults and teenagers when they know that it's not something they should be given, because the level of suicide is so high, and the level of, you know, increased depression. So it's quite challenging, and I thank you for sharing your personal experience. And it's so you know, it's common sense what you're stating. How can anybody have a fully integrated, productive life if they don't experience the highs and lows emotionally, and then build on that and have the tools for coping?
Yeah, you know? Absolutely, and it's really terrible that we have more of these, you know, killing sprees, and that there are now more questions asked, and it's not looked into if these people could actually be mind control victims, victims of as most probably was Alexis, of directed energy weapons and just a mind control victim, and somehow then often what we see with these victims, also with us, is that they then somehow commit a violent act. Either they commit suicide or they commit what we just saw very tragically here.
And the descriptions that come out in the media about reports from people in these areas. I'm thinking of the shooting in Aurora, Colorado, in the movie theater, and yes. There was so much disinformation there, and there obviously was more than one shooter as reported by the people. But when they described the person that they put all the blame on for this, and his crazed eyes and his whole demeanor, and there was something definitely going on with him as well. And in so many other situations where we're looking at people experiencing what you've described now, being targeted by these weapons.
Yes, absolutely. And I always find it funny that you always have this portrait of this, suddenly gone crazy, wild, lone shooter. And when you hear the family or friends, it's always, he was a very nice person, very kind, very, very calm. It's always these unassuming young men that, nobody would suspect, that they suddenly freak out and go and buy a gun or have a gun in their possession and just go for a shooting spree. So there must be something else behind that, and I think we have enough indication that at least here in its last tragic case, I haven't looked at this Chicago case yet, but with the Alexis case, this was most definitely the case, I think.
Yeah, well, great insights, and I wish there was some easy answer for those who might be experiencing this kind of hell that's created by weapons like this, because it certainly doesn't seem that they get what they need. And what I find is that the access to therapy, where you can actually talk to a psychologist, doesn't happen anymore because of insurance. Melanie, thank you so much. That was a really timely report to give better understanding about these situations that just appear to be unexplainable, but they're the patterns, and you pointed that out. We'll look forward to having you on next week.
Yeah, me too, and have a great weekend.
Thank you. And anytime there's breaking news, you let us know. Because
absolutely.
Perfect. And thank you for all the information you've been sharing. I'm Dr. Robin Falkov with my team member, Melanie Vritschan, here at Event Horizons. We are coming up on a break, and we are back. I'm Dr. Robin Falkov, and a big thanks to those of you who've been with us from the start of the show, and welcome to those of you just joining us. I hope you all listen to the bumper music, because I sit here with my headphones on and I hear these amazing quotes and ways to just get a grip on how you handle things and how you examine them. And I'm really enjoying the part about fear. And that fear is just a product of our imagination. And everyone knows the quote about we have nothing to fear but fear itself. But it is true, and it is a conscious choice. You can allow yourself to be manipulated and caught up by those fears, which seems to be the agenda all too often of the mainstream media. And we're looking at things here in the United States where there is so much unknown, so much going on with the environment, natural disasters. Everything seems to be so unstable, and they want people to be in this reactive mindset and be afraid. So I urge you all, when you've got something to really worry about, that will be there. That's the time to deal with it. And now we can get through anything together. And that's all around the world. And that's the importance of strong communities. So together, we can all make a difference. And we can choose to look at the information that's presented by the mainstream media, the manipulations to try to get us into war with other countries, and the outstanding response that has been a long time coming and is ever so welcome, where the people in the United States are taking a stand and making their positions known and clearly stating that their answer to any action against Syria is no. It doesn't matter what they want to do, anything to attack, anything to bomb, anything to have moral loss of life. The people of this country and the people around the world have reached a saturation point where they will not tolerate any more unnecessary deaths. And I don't know where anyone can say death is necessary. So my apologies on that one. Let me give you the number, 866-220-0044, 866-220-0044. Make your calls, talk to your elected officials, and let them know how you feel. We don't want war. We don't want our military being used as policemen around the world. That's not the place of any individual country. That's why the United Nations is there. And let them know, because they are finally acknowledging and saying in television interviews, my constituents don't want this. My constituents are in contact with me. They do not want war. Let them know how you feel about getting a delay about the naval testing of live weapons around the coast of the United States. Let them know how you feel about so many issues. The important thing is letting them know, taking action, and they will realize that, whoops, people are paying attention. We can't get away with the things we did before.